The 2024 NFL season is almost in the books, and for today's video, I just wanted to give you guys my winners and losers of the 2024 NFL season. So we do have the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Both those teams are obviously big winners of this year. Chiefs going for the three-peat, the Eagles looking to get their first ring since the 2017 squad. But not everybody is as lucky or as successful as those two teams this year. So like always, let me know in the comments what you agree with or disagree with in this video, and if there's any person, team, player, coach that I didn't say was a winner or loser that you think should have been mentioned in this video, let me know down below. And if you guys do enjoy the content, I'd appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. So I mentioned that the Philadelphia Eagles are in the Super Bowl, and they have a player that I feel like I have to talk about in this video. It's Saquon Barkley. So the Eagles didn't really need to go out and spend big money on a running back, but they went out and did that anyway on somebody they thought was a top running back in the NFL. And oh man, did Saquon prove them right, as he had one of the greatest running back seasons we have seen in quite some time this year for the Philadelphia Eagles. Throughout 16 games, Saquon had over 2,000 rushing yards. There was a chance he could have broken the all-time record if he did end up playing in week 18. He had 13 rushing touchdowns, and think about how many rushing touchdowns Jalen Hurts had on the tush push on the 1 yard line. Some of those could have went to Saquon. He easily could have had a 20 touchdown season. He also did have 2 receiving touchdowns as well. He averaged 125 rushing yards per game and is proving that running backs kind of matter. And he had an elite regular season, and he's had a historic playoff run so far in their wild card matchup against the Green Bay Packers. 119 yards. He didn't find the end zone. To follow that up against the Rams in the divisional round, he had 205 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, including a 78-yard run. And then against the Commanders on 15 carries, 118 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. The first 2 carries of the game for Saquon went for touchdowns. It was a true elite season. He was an all-pro first team for the first time in his career. He is a big winner of the 2024 NFL season. And honestly, just to sprinkle in another one, I think Nick Sirianni is a winner as well. A lot of people thought he was going to get fired after week 4. They got off to a 2-2 start, and now he's brought the Eagles to their second Super Bowl in his first 4 years of being hired. Unfortunately, for my first loser, I gotta go with Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans. He did have high expectations going into this year. After somewhat of a promising rookie season, Levis fell out of the first round in the 2023 draft. The Titans were able to get Peter Skoronski in the first round and then draft Will Levis with the 33rd overall pick. And like I said, had a promising rookie year. He did appear in 9 games, threw for 1,800 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, and made some really nice deep ball throws. So he had high expectations going into this year. He had a more offensive-minded head coach in Brian Callahan. They went out and spent big money on Calvin Ridley and addressed the offensive line in free agency in the draft as well, signing Lloyd Cushenberry and drafting J.C. Latham. And this was not a good year whatsoever for Will Levis, and I think his expectations of being a starter in this league have cratered as he went 2-10 in the 12 games he appeared in. He threw for 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. He also lost 10 fumbles this year as well, and in the beginning of the year, it feels like Will Levis was in a different meme every single week, and I think he had maybe goals and expectations of being the franchise quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. They end up with the worst record in the NFL. It's most likely they're going to end up with a quarterback this offseason to replace Will Levis, so I do think he's a big loser of the 2024 NFL season. I think this person is a similar winner to Saquon Barkley. He was the best at his position this year, Jamar Chase, and I think there's an added wrinkle to Jamar Chase because he didn't sign that extension with the Cincinnati Bengals going into the year, and wow, did he bet on himself, and it paid off. He's going to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL this offseason, as Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown in 2024. He led the NFL in receptions with 127, led the NFL with reception yards, 1,708, and also led the NFL in receiving touchdowns with 17. And while this was a disappointing year for the Cincinnati Bengals as a whole, since they didn't make the playoffs with how good their offense played, their disappointments were not because of Jamar Chase, because he proved that he's going to be an elite wide receiver 1 in this league for a long time, and he's on a very nice Hall of Fame trajectory so far in his career, over 1,000 yards in the first 4 years of his career, and winning the Triple Crown in year 4 as a 24-year-old is insane. And obviously he's got that LSU connection with Joe Burrow. They're going to be the QB1 and wide receiver 1 of this team, and some of the best players at their position in the NFL for a long time. I think I have 4 nominations for my next loser, but they all fall under the same team umbrella. and that's the New York Jets. I think the first person we could talk about is Aaron Rodgers, who was coming off his Achilles tear after playing just one drive in the 2023 season, his first year with the Jets. High expectations for the Jets this year, and it just ended in disappointment as Aaron Rodgers had a 5-12 record. You know what? His numbers didn't look too bad this year. 3,900 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. But obviously, it looks like he is slowed down a ton, does not have as much zip on the ball as he's had in the past. And the Jets did lose a lot of one-score games, and not all of that is on Aaron Rodgers, but I feel like he didn't have that clutch gene that he's had in the past as well. And it's just all the things that happen on the field and off the field. Robert Saleh ends up getting fired. Is that because of Aaron Rodgers? We probably will never know. Joe Douglas, the general manager, gets fired as well. I think just Jets fans are big losers for this season. They probably had their biggest expectations for a team since the Mark Sanchez or Sam Darnold eras, or maybe Zach Wilson's rookie season, and it was just a disaster for this team to go 5-12 when a lot of people preseason we're picking them to win the division. I think you have another like head coach quarterback combo here for a winner, and it is the Washington Commanders duo of Dan Quinn, the first year head coach, and it's got to be Jaden Daniels, who's going to win offensive rookie of the year. He was the second overall pick behind Caleb Williams, and he had one of the best rookie quarterback seasons, not of just this century, but of all time, bringing the Washington Commanders, who really had no expectations going into this year, with a rookie quarterback, a new head coach in Dan Quinn, and he brings them to the NFC Championship game. It did end in blowout fashion to the Philadelphia Eagles, but Jaden Daniels had an electric season where he threw for over 3,500 passing yards, 25 passing touchdowns. He did have 9 interceptions, 69% completion percentage, but was an elite quarterback rusher as well. Over 890 rushing yards on the year, 6 rushing touchdowns as well. Like I said, is going to win offensive rookie of the year. Was one of the best quarterbacks in the league just in general, and is already one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think we're going to look as a whole. And if you're talking about NFC quarterbacks, he's right up there as well. I think a big loser from this NFL season is somebody that's not even part of the NFL anymore, and that is the former Commanders owner, Dan Snyder, as this was now year 2 since Dan Snyder left, and this team already maybe looks like the best it ever has since Dan Snyder bought the team in 1999. You have a elite rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and now your window is there because Jaden Daniels is under that rookie contract. You don't have to pay him big time money yet. You brought in a new GM from the Niners in Adam Peters. You have a good head coach in Dan Quinn, a good offensive coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury. You have playmakers on both sides of the ball. You're going to have a ton of cap space, and Jaden Daniels, just going back to him, 24 years old. Yeah, Dan Snyder missed out on what could be a very nice time period for the Washington Commanders just 2 years after he sold the team. I guess karma's I know he probably cost himself some money in week 18 and then the wild card round, but Sam Darnold has to be a big winner from this season. Sam Darnold just turned his career around. It did a complete 180. He threw for over 4,300 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He had a 66% completion percentage, which would be a career high. And he won 14 regular season games when the Minnesota Vikings had a 6.5 win projection going into the year. I think Sam Darnold's a big winner. I think Kevin O'Connell's a big winner as well, now looked at as one of the best head coaches in the NFL. But either if he's back with Minnesota or not, I think Sam Darnold is just a big winner, kind of like Baker Mayfield from last year, where we thought the chances of this player being a starting quarterback in this league were over. And Sam Darnold was the 3rd overall pick back in the 2018 NFL draft. And now it looks like he can make $100 million in free agency and maybe be one of the next best quarterbacks in the league. Like, still just 27 years old. We have some quarterbacks getting older and older in this league. Darnold can definitely slot in as a top 10 quarterback going forward. I guess another loser has to be the San Francisco 49ers. They just came up so close, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs in overtime in the Super Bowl last year. They had a very high win projection going into the year. They were supposed to be back to the promised land, and they didn't even make the playoffs. They ended up going 6-11 this year. Everybody was hurt. Guys underperformed. And while Brock Purdy didn't play horribly, he definitely played a little bit worse than he did last year. Now that it's making maybe San Francisco hesitate giving him a $200+ million contract. Ayuk got hurt. Kittle got hurt. CMC, Deebo Samuel were all hurt on the offensive side of the field. Fred Warner was playing banged up throughout the whole year as well. Yeah, it was just a disappointing season for the Niners. Like I said, you go to the Super Bowl, you're expected to go back the year later, and you go 6-11, finish last in your division and miss the playoffs. That is disappointing, but I do think they are going to be back next year. But for this year in 2024, they are losers. And my last winner has to be just Bo Nix and Sean Payton of the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix was looked at as not a top quarterback in the 2024 NFL draft. A lot of analysts and media said that he should not even go in the first round. Kind of shocks everybody. He goes 12th overall. Sean Payton compares him to Patrick Mahomes and his scenario back when he was in New Orleans and they wanted to draft Patrick Mahomes in the 2017 draft. And Nick's has arguably the second best quarterback rookie season. And honestly, I don't think it's arguably. He was better than Caleb Williams and Drake May this year, as Bo Nix led the Denver Broncos, who, like Minnesota, who we just talked about, didn't have a high expectation going into the year, and Bo Nix led them to the playoffs. A 10-7 record, played every game, 29 passing touchdowns, threw 12 interceptions, 66% completion percentage, but also ran the ball for 430 yards this year and 4 touchdowns as well. He threw for over 3,700 passing yards, and it looks like Denver found their franchise quarterback with the 12th overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft, which is really nice to see because it was a disaster for Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson 2 years ago. It wasn't great for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton last year, although it was better than what it was in 2022. But this year just seems so much more positive for the Denver Broncos' future going forward. And then my last loser may be a little bit of a surprise. I could have went with the Browns front office. I could have talked about Josh Allen and the Bills. I'm just going to talk about Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins. Now, obviously, the Dolphins had their issues this year with Tua getting injured with a concussion once again, and the Dolphins offense did underperform at times. You could say Jonnu Smith had a better individual receiving year than Tyreek Hill, who put up career lows in a full season sample size since his rookie season, where he played all 17 games and he didn't reach 1,000 yards, 959 on the year, 81 catches on 123 targets. He had 6 receiving touchdowns, but it looks like that his time in Miami may be over, so you could say that's more of a loser part for the Miami Dolphins front office. But now Tyreek Hill has to watch a team that traded him 3 years ago go to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year, basically every single year since they traded him away. Maybe he's a loser in my eyes. That was a little bit of a wild card. So that is going to be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said in the beginning of the video, let me know your winners and losers of the 2024 NFL season down below. Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree with what I said? Let me know down below. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are not already for NFL content all off season long. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.